G'day adventurers, I'm Jake, your Aussie host, and today on Should I Go, we're diving deep into the mysterious world of the Knights Templar. This journey will take us across continents and through time, from the bustling markets of Jerusalem to the misty shores of Nova Scotia. We'll visit medieval forts, mysterious chapels, and legendary treasure sites, all tied to the famed warrior monks of the Middle Ages. Imagine stepping into an ancient castle, or wandering through a secret tunnel, hearing the echoes of knightly footsteps from centuries past. What a rush. So grab your sword, or just your backpack, and let's hit the road, following the trail of the Templars, and go on our own medieval Knights Templar adventure. Our quest begins in Jerusalem, the holy city where the Knights Templar story started. In 1119 CE, not long after the First Crusade, 9 knights led by Hugues de Payens established a base here. King Baldwin II of Jerusalem gave them quarters on the Temple Mount. Yes, the same Temple Mount that's sacred in Judaism and Islam. The Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, which sit atop the mount, were repurposed by the Crusaders. The Templars believed this was the site of King Solomon's temple, inspiring their name, the Knights of the Temple. Walking on the Temple Mount today, you won't find any medieval Templar fortress. Their quarters are long gone, but it's thrilling to stand where those first knights took their sacred vows and began their legendary order. I wander through the old city's maze of stone lanes and picture those early Templars in their white mantles, marked with red crosses, escorting weary pilgrims. They protected travelers heading to holy sites like the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which even now welcomes visitors to what is believed to be the site of Jesus' crucifixion and tomb. Inside that church, with its chambers lit by flickering candles and clouds of incense, you can easily imagine the devotion that fueled the Crusades, and the knights in armor who once kept watch at its doors. Jerusalem is full of such layers of history. There are even legends that the Templars dug deep beneath the Temple Mount searching for lost biblical treasures, such as the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail. As you stand near those ancient stones, you can't help but wonder what secrets might lie below your feet. Leaving Jerusalem, our next stop is Acre, also known as Akko, on the Mediterranean coast of Israel. This fortified port city became the Templars' main stronghold after Jerusalem fell to Saladin in 1187. Acre served as the Crusader capital for a century, a bustling crossroads of knights, merchants, and pilgrims. The Knights Templar built a massive fortress here by the sea, and Acre's strategic harbor was their lifeline to Europe. Walking through Acre's old city today, you're treading on layers of Crusader history. Stone vaults and corridors beneath the streets have survived from that era, and the whole old town is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. One of the most exciting finds in Acre is the Templars Tunnel. This underground passage runs from the site of the Templar fortress toward the port. Ducking into the tunnel's dim stone corridor, I imagine the drama that unfolded here. In 1291, Acre was under siege by the Mamluk army. This tunnel might have served as an escape route or a secret supply line for the embattled Templars. It's about 150 meters long, just enough to spark the imagination without getting claustrophobic. When you emerge near the sea on the other side, you can look out at the same bay where Templar ships once anchored, perhaps ready to evacuate treasure or troops in the city's final moments. Acre's fall in 1291 marked the end of the Crusader presence in the Holy Land. The city fell after a bloody siege, and the last Templars either died in battle or fled by ship. Today, Acre's Crusader legacy is surprisingly well preserved. Besides walking the Templar Tunnel, you can tour the enormous subterranean halls built by the Knights Hospitaller, the Templars' fellow Crusader knights. These grand refectories and crypts preserved below ground give a vivid sense of medieval life, an experience few other places can offer. Exploring them gives you a vivid sense of medieval life. Sailing across the Mediterranean, we land on number 6, Cyprus, an island of sun-soaked beaches and Crusader castles. In 1191, during the Third Crusade, King Richard the Lionheart seized Cyprus and promptly sold it to the Knights Templar. Suddenly, the warrior monks found themselves rulers of a wealthy island. But their rule was short-lived. The Templars' strict policies and taxes sparked a local rebellion, forcing them to relinquish Cyprus within a year. The island passed to King Guy de Lusignan, who founded a Crusader kingdom here. Even so, the Templars kept a presence. After the fall of Acre, Cyprus became the new base for displaced Crusaders, including the Templars, until the order was dissolved in the 1300s. Today, Cyprus offers a trove of medieval sites linked to those times. In the north, overlooking the harbour of Kyrenia, stands Kyrenia Castle. While built and modified by Byzantines and Lusignans, this castle was active during the Templar era. Inside its thick walls, you'll find a small museum and a chapel. Strolling along the ramparts, I get a stunning view of the sea and mountains. Imagine Templar lookouts scanning that horizon for sails. The castle courtyard feels like a set from a medieval film. In southern Cyprus, near Limassol, Colossi Castle is another must-see. This compact but mighty fortress, built a bit later in the 1400s, sits amid vineyards and sugarcane fields. It was once a Templar estate before becoming a stronghold of the Knights Hospitaller. You can climb its 3 floors up to the rooftop battlements for a panoramic view of the surrounding countryside. The Knights here oversaw the production of Commandaria wine, a sweet dessert wine still made today, and considered one of the world's oldest named wines. Although little remains of the Templar headquarters in Nicosia, the capital, the city's museums hold artifacts from the Crusader period. Paris, the City of Light, is number 5 on our list, and honestly, it holds some of the darkest chapters in the Templars' story. Back in the 13th century, Paris was the administrative heart of the Knights Templar, and yeah, it was home to their richest treasury. Their headquarters, known simply as the Temple, was this fortified complex in what's now the Marais district, complete with thick walls and a lofty tower that really dominated the medieval skyline. The Templars basically ran a bank here, safeguarding money and treasures for kings and pilgrims alike. But you know, all that great wealth also made them a target. On Friday, October 13, 1307, King Philip IV of France, who was deeply in debt to the Templars, launched a shocking dawn raid, arresting the Knights Templar Brotherhood across France. They were charged with heresy and a bunch of other fabricated crimes. Many Templars were imprisoned and tortured right here in Paris. After years of trials, the order's leadership was executed. In March 1314, the last Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burned at the stake on a small island in the Seine. Legend says that as de Molay died, he cursed the king and the Pope for their betrayal, and eerily enough, both Philip IV and Pope Clement V died within months of that event. Today, physical traces of the Templar era in Paris are pretty scarce, but the legacy still lingers in street names and quiet corners. The old temple fortress was demolished long ago, but you can still stroll down Rue du Temple and relax in the leafy Square du Temple Park, which is roughly where the medieval fortress once stood. Close by, the Temple metro station also nods to this history. Although you won't find Templar ruins to explore, the Marais neighborhood's medieval atmosphere really provides a backdrop for imagining what once was. And just a short walk away on the Ile de la Cité, near Notre Dame Cathedral, you can stand where Jacques de Molay met his fate, and well, reflect on how dramatically fortunes turned in this very city. Number 4, London, offers a chance to see real Templar architecture up close. In the 12th century, the Knights Templar established their English headquarters here, at the Temple Church just off Fleet Street. Remarkably, this round church, consecrated in 1185, still stands and, honestly, looks much as it did 800 years ago. Its circular nave was modeled after the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem to remind the knights of their sacred mission. Stepping inside, I'm struck by the lofty vaulted ceiling and the simple stone columns ringing the space. On the floor, you'll find several carved stone effigies of medieval knights. Some are Templars, others are contemporaries like the famous knight William Marshall, who was buried here in 1219. Sunlight slanting through the stained glass brings these stone figures to life, and you can just imagine the ceremonials, the dubbing of knights, the prayers, that once took place on this very floor. The surrounding area, known as the Temple, was the whole Templar estate. After the Templars were dissolved, This prime real estate eventually became the domain of legal societies, the Inner and Middle Temple Inns of Court. Today, it's a district of chambers and courts, but many of the old lanes and courtyards still retain a timeless feel. Walking through gate arches into Inner Temple or Middle Temple, you'll find peaceful gardens, ancient halls, and even gaslit lamps at night. It's really an oasis of calm off busy Fleet Street. Knowing this was once the residence of warrior monks gives it an extra mystique. Take a moment in the temple church's shaded courtyard or by the old Norman door. If walls could talk, they'd tell of knightly vows and royal visits. Number 3, beautiful Portugal became a haven for the Templars when the rest of Europe turned against them, and they had earned this refuge by helping the Portuguese kings reconquer territory from Moorish rule. The Knights Templar were granted vast lands and built formidable castles throughout the young nation. The greatest of these is in the town of Tomar, about 150 kilometers north of Lisbon. Here the Templars established their headquarters, and it became their stronghold for decades. The Convent of Christ and Castle of Tomar, perched on a hill overlooking the town, is a complex that showcases the full glory of Templar and post-Templar architecture. Walking into the Convent of Christ, the first jaw-dropping sight is the Charola, the round church. Modeled after Jerusalem's Holy Sepulchre, this circular sanctuary allowed knights to attend Mass on horseback. The walls and columns of the Charola are richly decorated, later enhanced with Renaissance art. But the structure itself is pure 12th century Templar. As you explore further, you find cloisters, dormitories, and defensive battlements added over the years. One striking Manueline-style window, dripping with stone carvings of ropes and knots, symbolizes the Order of Christ, the continuation of the Templars in Portugal. In 1319, King Dinis of Portugal cleverly refounded the Templar Order under a new name, the Order of Christ, allowing the knights and their assets to carry on. Under Prince Henry the Navigator, this order spearheaded the great voyages of discovery, which is why you'll see maritime motifs blending with crosses in the convent's design. In fact, some of Portugal's explorers were members of the Order of Christ. Every arch and stone in Tomar seems to whisper Templar secrets. Portugal has more to offer Templar hunters. One gem is Almoral Castle, rising from a small rocky island in the Tagus River. This petite castle, built by the Templars around the 1170s, looks like something from a fantasy novel. To visit, you take a short boat ride across the river. Clambering up its aged stone steps to the top, you get a breathtaking view of the water and countryside. It's easy to imagine a Templar knight standing guard here watching the horizon. Other former Templar sites dot the land, but Tomar and Almoral are the crown jewels that truly transport you back in time. Now for number 2 on our list, we take a leap of faith and geography. Oak Island, a small tree-covered island off Nova Scotia, Canada, is a modern treasure hunt linked to Templar lore. Oak Island is famous for the Money Pit legend. It all started in 1795 when locals dug at a curious depression and found a man-made shaft shored up with oak logs every few meters. Ever since, treasure hunters have tried to dig deeper, convinced something valuable is hidden below, but they're repeatedly foiled as seawater floods in through booby-trap tunnels. One popular theory is that the Knights Templar, fleeing persecution in Europe in the 1300s, secretly sailed to Nova Scotia and buried their treasures, possibly the Holy Grail or other sacred relics, on Oak Island. Supporters of this theory point to odd clues: a layer of coconut fiber buried on the shore from palm trees not native here, and a lead cross found deep underground, fueling talk of a Templar connection. Could it all be a coincidence, or did the Templars really hide something here? The jury is still out, but the mystery of Oak Island has captivated adventurers for over 2 centuries. Visiting Oak Island is a thrill for anyone who's followed the story. The island is privately owned by treasure hunters, famed from the TV show The Curse of Oak Island. But during summer they offer guided tours. On the tour you see the Money Pit, a fenced-off zone of excavation gear, and other key spots like the swamp, while guides recount the island's history and legends. There's also a small museum displaying recovered artifacts, old coins, tools, and that lead cross, along with explanations of the many theories. As you walk through the woods and breathe the salty air, You feel both the excitement and the frustration of this centuries-old quest. Oak Island itself is scenic, set in beautiful Mahoney Bay with dozens of other tiny isles around. Even if you don't find treasure, the adventure of it all makes for a great story to bring home. Number 1. Rossland Chapel, Secrets in Stone. Our final destination brings us to the rolling hills of Scotland, where history and legend converge at Rossland Chapel. Located in the village of Rosslyn, just 7 miles from Edinburgh, this small 15th century chapel is overflowing with mysterious symbolism, and many believe it holds ties to the Knights Templar. The chapel was built in the 1440s by Sir William St. Clair, also known as Sinclair, a noble family rumored to have been connected to the Templars. Step inside Rossland Chapel, and you'll immediately see why it sparks the imagination. Every surface, columns, arches, and ceiling is covered with carvings, flowers, vines, strange creatures, angels, knights, and geometric patterns. These intricate details have fueled countless theories. One popular idea is that the Templars, through the Sinclair family, hid sacred treasures beneath the chapel, perhaps the Holy Grail or ancient scrolls. Another curiosity is carvings that resemble ears of maize or corn and aloe vera plants, which were unknown in Europe in the 1400s. Some folks take this as evidence that someone from the Templar circle traveled to the Americas before Columbus, bringing back knowledge or even artifacts. Fact or fanciful fiction, it's just thrilling to ponder as you examine the stonework. As I move through the chapel's dim interior, sunlight filtering through stained glass brings the carvings to life, though their true meaning remains elusive. The chapel gained worldwide fame in Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code, and visiting it in person, you feel that same sense of being on the brink of a big discovery. Outside, you can admire the chapel's ornate exterior up close and gaze out over Rosslyn Glen. Nearby, a short walk leads to the ruins of Rosslyn Castle and a scenic view of the valley. It's a tranquil setting, yet one can't shake the feeling that something ethereal lingers here, hidden in plain sight by those medieval stonecutters. As our journey comes to an end, think of all the incredible places we've visited, from the ancient lanes of Jerusalem and Acre to the sunlit castles of Cyprus and Portugal, from the historic streets of Paris and London to the mysterious corners of Oak Island and Rossland Chapel. Each spot has given us a glimpse into the saga of the Knights Templar, an order of warrior monks whose influence can still be felt in stone and legend alike. We've seen where they fought and prayed, where they built and fell, and how their legacy turned to myth and mystery over the centuries. So should you go on a Knights Templar adventure of your own? If tales of hidden treasure, secret societies, and medieval heroics excite you, then the answer is a resounding yes. This journey offers more than just history. It's a chance to walk through diverse cultures and stunning landscapes connected by a common thread. Few travel themes can take you from Middle Eastern holy sites to European capitals to North American islands in one sweep. Whether you're a history buff or just love a good story, following the Templars' trail will not disappoint. Pack your curiosity and maybe a treasure map and set off on your own epic quest. Until our next travel adventure, this is Jaike, your Aussie guide. See you in another episode of Should I Go, your channel for destination decisions. Cheers, mates.